in the afternoon. Even though it's virtual, if you're going to vote, you need to sign up in advance. Plus, that same weekend, Saturday, August 26th at 7 o'clock in the evening, another one of those hallowed ground lantern tours at the Stones River Battlefield. It's free, but spaces are limited, so you need to sign up in advance. And those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
We're News Radio WGNS 100.5, 101.9, 1450. Online and on your phone at WGNSradio.com. Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues, powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. You can take control of your account management and energy consumption with the MyMTE app. Just download from the App Store and manage your account, improve your energy habits, and more. That's MTE, serving to make life better since 1936. My pleasure to welcome in Dawn Roberts with the Beasley Animal Clinic and Foundation here this morning, and this show is going to the dogs. Is that the saying? Something like that?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to have you here this morning. And it's been a busy time at the clinic, hasn't it?
Yes, it is. Yep, which is good, but it's still, we're just nonstop, so keeps us busy and moving.
I guess it does. I love the shirt, though, with your logo on there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
If you haven't seen the logo, it's like a really, really big dog and a cat, and kind of touching noses or something like that. That's really neat.
Yeah, we actually just created a new shirt, just kind of something new. It's been a few years, and it's like I love paw with a heart, and then it's got kindness, responsibility, and respect underneath it, and it's on our website if anyone wants to order it.
Cool.
With a portion of it going to us, of course. But yeah, it's just something new and different colors, long sleeve, kids, and everything like that. So it's exciting.
Well, yeah, that's good. And I'm assuming that those three words are kind of some key areas that, not a motto, but I guess maybe. Yeah,
that's kind of what we go by. We're always, we're talking about kindness and respect and responsibility to pets, and, and then in turn turns into, how you treat fellow humans as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of getting off in the weeds here a little bit, but you and I had a conversation yesterday, and you were talking about, well, this is Wellness Day, and this is, this particular day is something different. So what is a week? What is Wellness Day? What vaccinations are you doing? Spay and neuter, all that kind of thing. So you got it all planned out, don't you?
Yeah. Right now, with only one vet, I'm searching, very hard for a second vet to come in so we can kind of run our services concurrently. But our normal week is Monday through Wednesday. We do spay and neuter surgeries. And then from about 10 to 3, we also provide our daily vaccination clinics. That's no appointment necessary. And then on Thursdays is our wellness day, where we will we make appointments for, exams and heartworm tests, combo tests for cats. And then, because exams are required for any preventatives, for heartworm preventative, flea and tick preventative. So that day is strictly kind of those things, along with our extended hours for our vaccines.
Okay.
So when we have a second vet, and yesterday we did have a relief vet come in and was able to provide some wellness services concurrently with spay and neuter surgery. So we were able to kind of get some people caught up because, we're booked out through into October already. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're just trying to get as many people caught up as we can.
Well, yeah, I know it's a busy time, but if so the reason I thought about that is if folks who are listening are thinking, I've got a puppy, spay neuter needs to happen, you need to think about that well in advance.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Because we just actually opened up October for scheduling. So, yeah, and it'll probably fill up pretty quickly. So, yeah, plan, if you want a dog spay or neutered and, or a cat in a couple months, you probably need to contact us so you can at least get on the list. If we're not scheduling, we will contact you when we start scheduling.
Well, perfect. We have Dawn Roberts joining us today with the Beasley Animal Clinic and Foundation, and wanted to kind of hone in on some conversation today about disaster planning with pets. We've had many conversations with the Red Cross and Salvation Army, and this area is no stranger to natural disasters and things of that nature. But it could be just like a home fire or something that's a disaster for you and your particular situation. And sometimes we don't always take into account pets, and I don't want to say the problem that could cause, but you have to know what you're going to do, I guess.
Right. Yeah. You really do need to kind of think about it in advance. Take action now. Don't wait until you're having to scramble to figure out what you're going to do. It can happen, like you said, it could happen with just your household, or it could happen with, the community. So you just kind of want to have plans in place. Know if you're going to have to evacuate, where you're going to go, especially with pets. You need to make sure that the place you're going is going to allow them. Not all American Red Cross shelters allow pets, just for safety concerns and other things. So, reach out to a veterinarian or some friends out of the area, boarding facilities, anything like that you can kind of have in place, saying that this is where you're going to go and take your pets in case you need to. And then, because some hotels also don't allow pets. So you might have to stay somewhere differently than your pets. Multiple pets, they might have to be separated. So it's kind of a lot to think about, but it needs to be thought up before you really need this information.
If you've spent any time, on the Gulf Coast, you've seen the signs as you're driving down the road. It says evacuation route,
Right.
and that's what my mind goes to. You definitely have to have a plan if you're in a situation like that well in advance, because if you have to go several hundred miles inland and you don't know if that's a pet friendly place, then it could be a problem.
Right. Well, and then, you hear all the time, I didn't evacuate because I couldn't take my animals.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to evacuate, you need to make sure that you've got a plan in place to take your animals with you. Don't leave them to, at least don't, certainly, some people will just go, but, make sure that don't leave a dog tied up that it can't go try to fend for itself. But, always just plan. Take your pets with you. And that's why it's important to know that if you have to evacuate, you know where you're going to go and you have a place for your pet.
Dawn, always making sure that not only are the vaccinations and everything up to date, but that you have proof of that as well. And that goes with anything. If you're even going to the dog park, you need to know that you have that done.
Right. Yeah. The worst thing would be is like you are behind on getting your vaccinations and you have to evacuate. So, always to stay up to date, make sure your animals are up to date in their vaccinations and that you've got proof that you can show whatever facility that you're taking them to that they're safe, and they just want to make sure they don't spread any disease further with their other occupants.
Yeah, and those little rabies tags, that's important to make sure that
Right.
it's on the pup,
Absolutely.
right? Or cat?
Yep. Well, and getting back to, tags, having ID on them is going to be important if, you happen to get separated or they're at a different facility than you are. So make sure they're in a nice, secure collar with ID, with their name and your phone number, and then also microchipping. Microchipping is the best way for you to get reunited. If something should happen, you're en route, your dog gets away, your cat gets out of the carrier or something like that, it's going to be easy for you to get reunited. And, normal person during a situation like that might not have a scanner. So that's why it's important to have a tag on your animals so that they say, okay, I have a phone number here I can contact.
Yeah. And they're doing some really neat things now with dog tags. I know we've talked about the Apple AirTag,
Yep.
but there's one in particular that puts a QR code on the dog tag,
Right.
and you scan that QR code and it gives all of the information, the name and address, phone number, even shows a map. And whenever that is scanned and someone goes to that page, it alerts the owner, hey, someone
That's great.
went to that page. So both parties will know like instantly when
Yeah.
you scan it. It's really,
that's
technology's
really neat.
cool.
It
isn't
really is. Yeah, it really is. But, unfortunately, some people just don't have access to that.
Yeah.
So, you just have to kind of go back to old school and paperwork and things like that.
There's also a note here that you mentioned the ASPCA recommends using a rescue sticker alert. What is that?
So it's just a sticker that you can put on your front door, back doors, any entrance that like the first responders, firemen are going to go into to say, hey, alert, I've got 5 dogs, I've got 2 cats. So they know what they're looking for as they enter the home in case of a fire or something, or a tornado or something like that. They kind of know what they're looking for and that they need to be looking for some pets. And then they say, if there's time, you can say, evacuate it, so that they see that they don't have to spend time looking for this pet and waste valuable resources where somebody else is needed.
Sure, absolutely. Talking with Dawn Roberts with the Beasley Animal Clinic and Foundation today about disaster planning with your pets. And it's also good not only to have a plan in place, but also to have, an emergency kit together if you had to evacuate, leave your home, whatnot. And my daughter always, when we went on vacation and the dogs went, they had their own little kit. So she was good about doing all of that. But it's important. I mean, you may not have access to kibble for a while.
Right. Yeah. Keeping 5 to 10 days of food for each pet. Make sure there's leashes and collars and harnesses and carriers. And, one thing is, a lot of cats are not, keen about getting into a carrier, especially when you're like having to rush and get them in. So, kind of just plan ahead and do, mock evacuation plans or something, and try to put your cat in the carrier, take it for a little ride and stuff. It'll kind of ease them as you go. But, make sure you keep your, important paperwork, your vaccines, anything like that, any medications or anything, somewhere that's not going to get wet or destroyed, in a sealed container. Fireproof is one, it's probably a little bit different, but, first aid kit, make sure you got bandages, things like that. You can buy a first aid kit at like normal pet stores or online or something like that. If you have a lot of human pet, first aid kits,
talking with a friend, and one of their relatives has a feral cat that they've been working with, they've built some trust, but getting it into the carrier is like, a week-long process to finally coax the cat in there. So my point about that is, especially if you have cats, doing that training into a carrier and consistently doing that to make it a safe place is going to make your life a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. And feral cats, their past has been very not used to humans. Yeah. So, normal times, any feral cat that comes into our clinic is usually in a trap, but you don't have time to go set a trap to get a cat. So yeah, just work with them as much as you can, and just be concerned about the ones that are outside if you can. And
a few things you wanted to mention about pets and wildfires.
Yeah, I am sure everyone has seen the devastation that's happening in Hawaii right now, and it's happens out in this country. The weather is just changing. We get flooding, tornadoes, everything, but there's just a couple kind of keep an eye out on the the air quality. If it's not safe for you to be outside, don't go outside, because you're not going to be able to any good for your pet. That you got to stay healthy to help your pet. Keep stay alert on evacuation. Watch your news, stay on the weather. Fires can spread so quickly that you're not going to have much time. So, if there's a threat of evacuation, wildfire, you need to kind of get your plan going so you can get your pets out. Don't leave any pets free roaming. If you've got outside cats, dogs that stay outside, you might just want to bring them in, because if you have to evacuate, you need to be able to get a handle on them quickly before the fire spreads, and that you can get out safely. And then, just basic, older and, not ill animals have a harder time with the smoke. So, just kind of keep an eye on asthma signs or anything like that. If you see them develop, then, just kind of reach out to your vet or something like that. But, we all have seen the news of California and Colorado and now Hawaii, how quickly it can happen. So, don't wait to the last minute. Get out if you need to get out, and make sure you take your pets with you.
Yeah, you can't be out running around trying to round up Roscoe the cat,
Exactly. They're going to be scared. They're going to go hide and things like that. So, it's just tragic what's happening over there.
You make a really good point too about if there's an air quality alert and that it could be sensitive to yourself or someone, a relative, a person, when they issue those air quality alerts. You have to think about your pet too, because it's the same air that you're breathing.
Absolutely.
That they are.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've gotten these straight line winds that we've had. It's not considered, a tornado or anything, but it blows down fences and your pet can get out, so just make sure you've got the identification on them and things like that.
Boy, we've really been through it this summer with
It's crazy.
storms. Every time there's been a storm, I've lost some type of limb outside.
Right, yeah. It's just those winds have been brutal.
And we have one dog in particular that is just, really gets scared during the storms. And it's kind of tough on the little pets like that, if they have storm anxiety.
Right. Yeah, and that's another good point. And part of this kit, you need to kind of make sure that you've worked with your vet prior, that if you need to have medication to kind of to lessen the stress and anxiety when you're having to move and stuff like that, just make sure you've got that on hand as well. So that's a good point, because storms make them nervous to begin with, and then you're rushing to get them all into a car and going out in new places with a lot of new noises. So
and some things that are theirs, their favorite toys or something like
that. The
that.
bed, the smells and things like that will bring them some comfort.
All very good stuff. Dawn, as always, it's a pleasure. I could talk to you forever about pets. I guess I'm a dog guy, but it's always great to catch up with you. Appreciate the work that Beasley Animal Clinic and Foundation does here in our community, and we will catch you, I guess, next month.
All right. Yeah, I did want to mention Barks and Bourbon is coming up on September 28th. Tickets are on sale now. We have about 11 distilleries there that are going to be sharing their brands of bourbon for tasting, so you can find tickets on our website or barksandbourbon.com.
Okay, very good. Barksandbourbon.com or on either the clinic or the foundation site.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, I'll put a link to that on our podcast as well, so you can have easy access to it, and that's where you can go back and listen to any of the conversation we had this morning with Dawn. And thanks for joining us here on Rutherford Issues today.
This is Lenny Farmer with Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home. Did you know that you can plan your funeral in advance without actually paying for your funeral in advance? In other words, if it's not a convenient time to pay for your funeral, you can still choose your funeral items and we'll file them away for later. Let's consider that together. You make the decisions for yourself, and when that financial window opens up, it becomes an easier decision. Call me at 615-893-2422 and let's plan together.
A reading now of today's obituaries. Michael Allen Bellenfant, age 60, of Murfreesboro, passed away on Saturday, August the 12th, at home, surrounded by family and friends. Mike was born in Murfreesboro to Lawrence Allen Bellenfant and Goldie Imogene Willard Bellenfant on September the 30th, 1962. He went to Riverdale High School and graduated in 1990. Mike loved playing baseball. He played for many teams and had one speed, wide open. Mike also loved fishing. He worked at Whirlpool and then later went to Bridgestone. Mike was preceded in death by his father, Lawrence Allen Bellenfant, survived by his sons, Christopher, Robert, David, and William Bellenfant, grandchildren, and a host of other family members. Visitation with the family will be held at Murfreesboro Funeral Home on Thursday, August the 17th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., with services to follow at 2 p.m. in the chapel. Interment will follow at Windrow Church Cemetery in Rockville. Family and friends will serve as pallbearers for Michael Allen Bellenfant. Murfreesboro Funeral Home in charge of these services. Evelyn Faye McCormick Hamlet, age 85, of Laverne, passed away on August the 12th. She was born on April the 20th, 1938, in Linville, Tennessee, Giles County. Preceded in death by her parents, Granville and Edna McCormick, husband, Wallace B. Hamlet, sister, Sebra Sue Jennings, and daughter, Sue Ann Tate. She is survived by her son, Timothy Hamlet, and wife, Lori, 5 grandchildren, and a host of other family members. She was a member of Laverne Church of Christ since December 1965. She retired from Laverne Public Library and continued library work in the church library after her retirement. She always enjoyed sewing for people and arranging flowers a favorite hobby of hers. Visitation will be held at Woodfin Chapel in Smyrna on Thursday, August the 17th. That'll be tomorrow from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. with funeral services beginning at 6 p.m. Graveside services will take place on Friday, August the 18th at Linwood Cemetery, Linville, Tennessee. These are the arrangements today for Evelyn Faye McCormick Hamlet, Woodfin Memorial Chapel, in charge of services.
Murfreesboro Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
People that come in to pre-plan their funerals and put it down in writing makes it a whole lot easier on the children at the time of their death.
Keith Stapleton, manager of the Murfreesboro Funeral